next up, we have Hiranya. Are you there, Hiranya?
I'm here.
Hey, awesome. Great. Thank you for coming and welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Hiranya, you're going to be offering a masterclass called A Women's Guide to Men and Relationships.
Well, actually, that's the name of this little talk. The course is called the Goddess Workshop.
Ah, okay. The Goddess Workshop. Same, but different.
Yeah. You could say that A Woman's Guide to Men and Relationships is sort of the undertitle, in a way.
Like a subtitle.
Subtitle explaining what it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, do you want to just introduce yourself and, who are you and where do you live? Where do you come from?
Sure,
how do you spend your time?
Hello, everyone. My name is Hiranya and I live in Oslo with my husband, Maitreya, and sometimes my grown-up son, who's studying now, so he doesn't live at home anymore. But I come from music and opera. That's what I used to do. Now I do a sort of a combination of coaching women on relationships, femininity, communication with men, and I do also coach musicians in body work. And sometimes I also teach meditation if I'm lucky.
Awesome, thank you. And so you said that your masterclass is called it's the Goddess Workshop. Is that what you said? Sorry, the Goddess Workshop. So maybe a good place to start is that, what defines a goddess?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think what I mean by it is a woman who is happy and radiant and realizing her feminine power, and also is able to interact in a beautiful way with other women, but also with men, and who knows how to inspire men and to bring the best out in men. Yeah, and who knows, of course, who she is in a way, who's happy is primarily really what it is about.
It's an interesting topic because I think you said in your intro talk that you came from being quite masculine, maybe in the environment that you've been brought up in. I mean, certainly for me, I've always had to be in work positions where I've had to kind of like compete against men, and I've had to, I've always been surrounded by a lot of men in my life, and there's these different roles that we have, that we're perceived to play. There's the mother, there's the sister, the auntie, the granddaughter, the partner, which is a biggie. And it's like, how do you recognize what your goddess energy is, when you've got all that going on?
That's a great question. Yes, I mean, I really do recognize what you talk about. I didn't really know it, but I discovered at one point that I was very much operating in what I would call a masculine mode of being, which is the sort of very go, go, go mode, getting stuff done, ticking off your to-do list, being very efficient, self-sufficient as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. It can be fun. But I think in our part of the world, in modern times, a lot of women just tend to get stuck there. And we forget about how to receive and how to be more in a feminine flow, where it's more freedom in a way. There's less sort of linear focus, there's more openness, there's more softness. We can sort of be more in a space that's relaxing for us and creative. And how you recognize that is that I actually had to learn how to get back there, if I'm honest. It's, some people think it's just like you flick a switch and then you're there, but that's not really my experience. I had to learn how to do it, but it's not that difficult. It's just that you need to know how. I find that the best way into feminine energy for me is through my body. Women have a tendency to get very heady. I don't know if you recognize that, but
yes,
they're sort of very stuck in the head energy, if you can call it that. And I've learned ways to actually get the energy more down into my body and sort of be more with my body. And that really helps me, but becoming more in my feminine energy. So, and there's also ways you can play with actually sort of grounding yourself, playing with energy, but also moving, dancing, that kind of stuff really helps, actually. Yeah. And then when you know it, it becomes easier to get back into it.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. You know, I feel like I'm in therapy right now, so I've got a lot to say.
Bring it on.
You know, when you touched on, you know, coming into the body, I mean, immediately the first thing that came into my head was, what if you're someone that isn't confident in your body? And I know this might be one way of doing it, but certainly, you know, as women, we've been exposed to the perfect, you know, this is your perfect, the perfect way you should look like, through magazines, through media, through, you know, maybe how you were brought up. So if someone's not comfortable in their body, is there another way that they could kind of like experience their goddess energy?
Yeah, certainly. Through just actually practicing receiving. Getting good at receiving is a very feminine way of being, to let other people do stuff for you and to be appreciative and take that energy in is definitely one of the primary ways you know that you are in feminine mode, is that you're not the doer, you're not the giver, you're the one that receives. But I also want to say something about what you said about the body image and all that, because I really do think that you don't have to be perfect in, you know, in society's view to actually enjoy the company of your own body. You know, it's very possible to get into a comfortable place with your body. And that's actually part of the goddess course, is playing with that and appreciating our body on our own terms and having pleasure and delight in being a body for our own sakes. You know, I think so often we just get this eye on the outside on ourselves instead of actually doing stuff for ourselves for that sake. And it's very nice when you get there, you know, when you actually, because this instrument is wonderful and it carries us around and it deserves gratitude. And it is an instrument also for feeling pleasure and joy. And that's regardless of how it looks or what other people think of it. You know, we can get to a place of more appreciation ourselves. And that's a great thing in itself. And it helps also in your interaction with other people.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds divine. It really does. But something else came up. So, you know, when you come into your softness, so you're coming into your softness, your divine energy, which sounds amazing. Don't get me wrong, but there's something that came up again. There's this sense of like, if I let that, you know, this is what's going through my mind. If I let down my guard, I become soft, then I'll be perceived as weak because we've had to hold this, you know, this position of we're strong, we can do it, like you said, the doers, you know, we can do this, we can do everything, we're multitaskers, we can go on and on and on. But then suddenly you bring all your attention inward and then you begin to soften. It's like, would that not make the people around you, especially men, think, oh, she's let down the guard, I can get her now? Does that make sense?
Thank you so much for bringing this up. It's
all right.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, because it is really at the core of it. And I know that many people or many women have that fear. And it's one of the biggest misunderstandings between men and women, really, that women think that they have to protect themselves against men by being sort of a little bit standoffish and doing everything themselves and proving that we don't need men and sort of not trusting men. It is basically completely the worst thing you can do. to get a good relationship with men. And if you want a man to really be there for you, and if you learn how to lean into his strength, then he will be there for you and he will protect you with everything. But you have to learn how to receive that first, you know, and to see that and to take the chance of actually needing someone else sometimes. And it may look weak, you know, I know what you say, it may look weak because we have the perception of that being in the masculine way is strength, because we are so out of touch with what really the strength of the feminine represents, how that is. But I can tell you that femininity is unbelievably strong. And if you ask men, they know that, you know, they're willing to do anything for the feminine, really. And if we can rest more in that power, and it's not a sort of like a pushover power at all. It's really very grounded. It's very here. But if we're in that energy and we make sure that we get our needs met to be happy beings, then we radiate power and inspiration for other people to really give to us, and particularly men. So I would say it's absolutely the opposite. And also, this is my personal thing, that I really want the value of feminine qualities to have higher status. I think it's about time that we don't only put value on being successful in business and you know, being the leader, being the one who's physically strong, all that stuff that basically is masculine, you know. And yes, women can do that too. There's no doubt about that. Women are incredibly adaptable and skilled in many ways, and that's wonderful. I don't want to take that away, you know, don't misunderstand me. I think it's great, and I also like being in masculine mode sometimes, and you know, using that energy. It's fun and it's great. However, it's not the whole picture. We have so much more to offer that's completely unique to the feminine, which is so valuable. The nurturing, the love, the creativity, you know, the color in the world, in a way, is what the feminine really represents. And it's invaluable in many ways, you know. But we have a tendency now to just look at the sort of typically traditional masculine values and think that that's when we're strong. When we're in that, when we're winning on that field, that's the only way one can be strong. And that's really, really not true. And having said that, you can, of course, be a woman and a leader and all that. It's, you know, but there are also ways of doing that in a more feminine way that I think often suits women better.
And then, you know, again, coming to what's happening in the world, it's just so needed right now. We need that nurturing. We need that loving energy. And there's just so many women that can do that, you know, if they just know how, because, you know, it's got lost, obviously, you know. I think it's coming back. I feel like we have this calling, you know, to delve deeper into this energy, this goddess energy. And, you know, I'm interested to know what was your turning point? When did you realize that it was time to kind of like make that switch and concentrate more on femininity?
I mean, it happened some years ago. I just really stumbled across this information, really. I opened my inbox one day and there was this invitation to a webinar, just kind of a little bit like this, for a online course. And it was based on a book by this amazing author and researcher, Alison Armstrong, which is called the Queen's Code. And so part of the course was reading that book and sort of getting into it. And it is such a penny dropping book. I mean, honestly, it's amazing. And the Goddess Workshop is also going to have a lot of that information in it, plus a lot of other things that I've learned over time, sort of the best bits I know in this field. But it was transformational for me, and that's really when I understood a lot of the conflicts and dissatisfaction that I had experienced in my relationships with men. You know, I had a good marriage, you know, but there were these areas in life that we always fought over, and always there was something not working there. And I realized what had been going on, what I had been doing that was creating that, you know. And the beautiful thing was that when I changed my way, when I started appreciating my husband in a different way, seeing what was going on, and stopped doing the worst mistakes, you know, then he changed completely, in my view. You know, I changed in his view, and he changed in my view, and our interactions just became so much better, so much more intimacy and fun and cooperation, and the feeling of really being on the same page. And also, you know, knowing when something was amiss, you know, that what was going on. But there was also some healing that needed to take place. But so I never saw it, look back, you know, when I got this information and started practicing it, and I realized also how important it is to embody that, you know, not just read a book, because it's so easily forgotten, it's so easily lost in a way, and to have a guide that can actually guide you in your personal life with your personal problems or interactions with men was for me really, really invaluable, and meant a lot, you know. And there are some gulps there, you know, there's some things to get over, as we already talked a little bit about, you know, in trusting your partner and things like that. And that really, really made such a big difference, and it stayed like that, you know. I'm not saying that we never have issues, but
that was my next question.
That would be a bit weird. But, you know, it's just a totally different trust and honesty and cooperation in our relationship.
I mean, it just sounds so wonderful to know that you can be on the same page with your partner. I mean, I know with Virendra and I, you know, I could be screaming and shouting, and I know he's left his body. He's somewhere else, and you know, there's just this glazed look across his face. I think it's just white noise, and you know, it gets frustrating because, you know, as a woman, it's like I just want to say my piece, and I just want to be heard and acknowledged and understood. And it's not always like that. So, you know, it's like having the tools of like how can that change? We can still have those so-called fights, but there's an understanding that there's, you know, compassion and love throughout all of it somewhere.
It's probably going to be less fights.
Yay. Oh no, that might be boring now, but no, yay.
And you know, it's very hands-on, you know. In this course you will learn what works, what kind of language men get inspired by. And I'm saying there's things that you can say and other things that you shouldn't say, you know, just because the male and the female brains just operate differently. We have different instincts, so different things are going to speak to us, you know. And just a simple thing like that, our focus is very differently directed, you know. I was talking about the masculine focus, which most men naturally have most of the time, that they lock onto one thing, you know. And there's lots of jokes about that in many ways, you know, the multitasking and not whatever. But what we don't know is that it happens naturally to men, and we can't really just fight with that, you know. We have to know how to work with it, and also know that we as women have a different kind of focus, where it's more like we really can take everything in more, you know. It doesn't take us more than a fraction of a second to know the atmosphere in the room where people are at. If something is hanging squint on the wall, or if there's something lying on the floor that shouldn't be there, we know it instantaneously, right? That's kind of our superpower. But we can't expect men to have that. You know, they have other superpowers, like that amazing focus that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of misunderstandings in relationships and frustrations in relationships come from that we interpret men's behavior as if they were women. And we think we know what's going on. We're pretty sure we know what's going on. And he's misbehaving because if I did that, it means this, this, and that, you know? And it doesn't. It doesn't. You'd be so surprised when you learn what actually is going on. And it's absolutely amazing and quite funny, but also a little bit, how can I put it? I was also a bit shocked and sad that I didn't know this before. And that I had done things that was actually taking my Terrier's power away, you know, and making him feel worse, you know, and not really wanting to do that. But I saw that I had done that, you know, and I felt bad about it. But I didn't know, you know. So that's really also important for all women who hear this, that, you know, this is something I can really recommend learning, because it's going to change your relationship with men, not just your partners, but any man, absolutely any man. And it might, you know, it might be challenging in some ways, but it's worth it. And you have to forgive yourself in advance for not knowing, because nobody, like, there's so few people know this. And it's something that most women do, you know, naturally. And so it's not our fault.
Well, it's so great that someone like you is coming forward with the experience, you know, having the knowledge, the experience, and now the wisdom to share with others. I mean, I'm signing up, you know, it's you've got me. So, yeah, because it's so
great. Thank you. That'll be fun.
It feels so important. Like it feels like the time is now, you know, to kind of step up, you know, for everyone. I feel for everyone to step up and make a change in whatever shape or form that presents itself to you. So your masterclass, do you want to just tell the viewers just a quick summary about what it will entail? I know you're starting it in, what month? Is it August?
3rd of August, the first. Yeah. So it's going to go over 10 weeks, every Wednesday. And it's also an optional, additional, more practical session on Sundays. Which is more like a energy workout in a way for getting into the feminine mode, which I can really recommend. But you know, you can catch up whenever you want with that. So there's going to be live on Wednesday. Of course, also there's going to be replays, and we're going to cover quite a wide range of topics. It's going to be learning to receive, learning what really is going on in a man's head a lot of the time, and how to cooperate with that, how to get your needs met in relationships, how to ask for things in ways that actually a man understands and gets inspired to provide, learning about men's protective instinct, how it works, and how we can also work with that, how to listen to men in a better way. Most of the time we do it completely wrong, and we don't get enough from them because we don't know how to actually listen to them. So that in itself is really worth the whole masterclass. That's a big one. Honestly. Yeah, because you can actually learn how to make men share their hearts, which is wonderful. Yeah, I mean, lots of things. You're going to learn about men and how they think about commitment. We're going to practice, you know, you're going to get little assignments so you can go out in the world and practice on your dad or your brother or your partner or your colleagues, and really see how this works. And I'm here, you know, I can give you feedback on every situation. And it's going to be a community of women as well, which in itself is amazing. When everybody comes together, and it's a safe space for women to share these intimate and personal and wonderful things, is also great for the feminine power in you to do that, actually, to be together in a circle of women. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of penny dropping. I can almost guarantee that. And yeah, just I'm so excited, because when women learn this stuff, things change, you know. And it's great to be a part of that and to assist that transformation.
Sounds great. Sounds absolutely wonderful. So is there anything that you can share with our viewers, just a little taster that we can go away with and kind of like play with?
Yeah. Do you want to do a little energy exercise?
Sure.
This is going to be a little short version, but this is particularly designed for the women, but men can join if they want. But you just have to choose other body parts, okay? Oh. So what I want you to do is to, first of all, just become present. Just know that you're here. And if you want to close your eyes and just imagine that you have like a magnet inside your head. And that magnet just pulls you present in a way. And it's like you're calling in the energy to the center of your head, and you're becoming more and more here, more and more present. And so if you have energy out and about, then just call it back in. Call it back in right now. And actually, before I go further, my child is making a lot of noise. Before we do that, just notice right now how much of your energy you feel is in your head, how much is in your heart area, and how much is in your womb area. You know, just give it a number, like usual percentage-wise, and it doesn't have to add up to 100. Don't care about that. But, you know, let's say maybe for me now it's like about 40-50 in my head, 30 in my womb, and maybe 30 in my heart and 20 in my womb, I would say, approximately. Just give it a number. And then we continue with just calling in the energy into the center of your head. So you're really, really present. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ground yourself. So imagine that you have like vines or roots growing down from your sitting bones or your feet into the ground, into the center of the earth. Just imagine that you're sort of becoming one with Mother Earth. Growing fast, and you're grounding yourself completely into the earth. And now imagine that you have in your womb or your womb area a big, powerful magnet, and you turn it on, and it starts pulling that energy that you centered in your head, start pulling it down into your womb. So you're just letting it come into you, down in your body. And I do this because I feel like it helps. Just kind of pull it down with my arms, and I sort of harness it over my womb and feel like it's like physically fill my womb up with energy. Fill it up with energy. Fill it up and fill it up, and really call the energy down with this big, powerful magnet that you have there. Just breathe and call it down. Feel like you're really filling up with life force and energy in the womb area, both in the front and in the back. You can even touch your lower back a little bit if you want. Just fill it up. It's like the heart center, you guys. I don't know if you want to do it. Just breathe and feel like you're grounding yourself. And now, imagine that you have like a golden sponge in your heart, in your hand, and we're gonna clear our heart with and open our heart with that golden sponge. So you just clear up that energy there and intentionally open your heart up. Like just for now, just really let that heart center crack open a little bit more and become the goddess of compassion and love. like just wipe my hand in front of my heart, you know, like this. Imagine that I really just breathe into my heart, open it up. And I feel now that I have my womb full of energy and my heart open. And I'm grounded. And you can open your eyes. And just notice now if the energy has shifted a little bit. If you have more of your energy down in your womb area, in your heart, and less in your head, maybe. I certainly do. Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I feel very grounded, but very whole. Yeah.
That's nice. That's kind of the goddess energy right there, in a way, just being really powerfully grounded in yourself, in your womb, with an open heart. You know, safely opening your heart to the world by being grounded. So it's just a little quick one for you that you can practice till we start the course in August.
That was just wonderful. Thank you so much, Hiranya. Thank you for your, I mean, I feel your goddess energy. I feel like I've softened. I'm like a marshmallow right now.
Oh, beautiful.
But thank you so much. And thank you for that gift of meditation, you know, that visualization. That was really wonderful, especially in a group format as well. We get to do that together. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.